In this patch notes, there are a lot of them, so I'm going to break this down into a few videos, but we're going to go over the upgrades and updates in this video. And another video will tackle a lot of the fixes that happen, because there's a lot of fixes that's going on. Also, let me know what you guys think of this layout. I kind of threw it together real quick because I was trying to record this video before and was frustrated with how it was working out. So hopefully this one will allow me to do everything that I want to show you guys while showing you the words on the screen. It's a work in progress. Let me know in the comments what you think. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into this. It says Eventide is here with over 2,000 changes and adjustments, as well as significant performance and UI optimizations. Jump into Wayfinder's biggest update yet. Says the day everyone has been waiting for is finally here, and believe me when I say that no one is more excited than the team here at Airship. The team has poured their hearts into this patch, which marks a huge milestone for us as the first major patch release as publisher and developer. So if you guys are wondering who's going to publish Wayfinder, right now they're just self-publishing the game, which I think is a good move for the team. It allows them, if this game really takes off, to branch out and do more things as well. We know a lot is riding on the success of this release, and to be sure we get to get things right, we need your help. So this was posted yesterday. It says we will be soft launching Eventide on Steam without the usual fanfare or even acknowledging the update. This patch will include all of the new player systems, improved quality of life, awakening, performance improvements, and new weapons. It will not include the actual Eventide event. The goal with this approach is to help identify any large show-stopping bugs, which can only be found with the public scale test audience, and quickly develop fixes before we fully launch Eventide and announce its release to the world later in the week. And they're saying we're calling on all of you, our most dedicated supporters in the community, to help us make sure this 0.2 is rock solid and truly delivers our players have been waiting for. And they have been doing fixes and hot patches. Like today, they dropped a video straight from Snar's cell phone talking about some of the things they're going to do with defense because they're not happy with where it's at after this patch. So I'll have that here somewhere in the video, I think, as well. Please report any major bugs you encounter so the team can get to work immediately on fixing them. For this quick turnaround hotfix, we are mainly focused on bugs that stop or block progression or access to systems, and not overall feedback. If you truly feel strongly about feedback, please feel free to post it, but know that acting on feedback quickly depends on the feedback and usually isn't as quick of a turnaround time as fixing a bug. For the purposes of this pre-release event, we ask that all bug reports go here to wayfinderbugs.featureupvote.com. Now this is a different feature upvote site. The other one was just Wayfinder, so they're actually in control, it seems, of this feature upvote site. We weren't kidding about wanting to build this game alongside all of you, so this is the best opportunity we can provide to have y'all put your game dev hats on today. Before the end of the week, we will release a hotfix to address any large bugs you have discovered through this effort and release 0.2 to the world. Including in this will be enabling our Eventide live event, featuring a unique new vendor with exclusive seasonal housing items and cosmetics, a limited time lost zone with a new mini boss, a seasonal hunt, and expansive quest chain, and most important of all, holiday cheer. We are incredibly excited for all of you to finally get your hands on what we have been working on and ready to approve this new beginning for Wayfinder. Thank you. All right, let's get into the patch updates. That was a lot. I'll have a timestamp here if you guys wanted to skip that. So you should probably start right now. All right, so this update, if you haven't updated yet, is a total repackaging of all of our files and assets. So it may take longer than usual. It's about 8 gigs of updates going on here, at least on PlayStation. And I believe it was also on Steam. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Eventide. The season of Eventide, a festive winter holiday full of gifts, revelry, and deep fried gelatin. Didn't even realize that was a thing you could do. Join Seeker Avala as she searches for scientific reason for the season and earn a host of cosmetics and housing items so you can celebrate the holiday in style. So if you're seeing this after the 15th or on the 15th, that is when this patch, the Eventide event, goes live, and we'll have a separate video talking about it as well. New quests and challenges. Play through several holiday quests and complete dozens of challenges to earn coveted Revel Rubies. New rewards. Spend your Revel Rubies at Rael, the Haberdasher, to obtain cosmetics, housing items, gloomstones, and your very own Frostspawn hatchling pet. Earn other rewards through rare drops and hidden secrets. New event Plunderful. Scrounge up floors and lures around the highlands to summon the Plunderful, then work with your friends to beat the rewards out of him. New Expedition Eventide Vale. Cobble together your Plunderful to enter Eventide Vale, where you'll find new events, enemies, surprises waiting to be discovered. There's going to be a new hunt called the Winter Queen. Use materials from completing the Eventide Vale to challenge the fearsome Winter Queen. Her icy hide is nearly impenetrable, but that same ice could be her undoing. Now I feel like that has something to do with the Icy Hide, maybe a Yeti type skin. And there's even more stuff. Limited time holiday imbuements, Eventide themed echoes. These are probably like new enemies that we can find in these dungeons, and the Winter Queen echo. Snowy Skylight and Highlands, new Eventide music, and so much more. First, I want to talk about the Awakening system. This is another avenue for Wayfinders to gain power. Here's a quick rundown of the system. The current Awakening cap will be 3. Past Awakening 3, Wayfinders will require materials found in future raids and mythic hunts. So right now, just going up to 3, all you need to do is just pretty much grind the same materials you needed to craft the original Wayfinder to begin with, and then come on down over here to Omen. And here we see summon Wayfinders. You see I already did Venomous. She has 1 star. It will say where those 4 bars are. It will say Awaken, and you'll click that and it'll just be like summoning. You'll go to the screen. Everything kind of goes into the person as like you have unlocked mysterious powers. You see the top left of the screen, the star up there is blinking. So technically right now, Venomous is level 31 because the 1 star there gives her 31. So all you'll need to do is just craft her like 2 more times or 3 times with the materials it has here, and you'll be able to get up to level 3. Now if you want, when we go higher than that, we'll have to get into those mythic raids or mythic hunts and raids. Saying how do you awaken a Wayfinder, it's gonna be the same thing for the weapons. You go and just recraft the weapon again, and that's how you awaken the weapon. So what do you get for awakening your character? You're going to get increased character stats, increased echo capacity, equivalent to gaining a level. So you see it shows everything's going up here. Max gear level 32. You get 1 affinity point every time a Wayfinder or weapon is awakened. You get increased max equipment level. A fully awakened Wayfinder can equip level 33 accessories. Of course, when we go to even further, like awaken level 5, it's going to be level 35 accessories. Awakening will integrate seamlessly with the forthcoming archetype levels and armory, providing players with a progressive power boost beyond the established level cap of 30. Now, in future, the archetype is going to have, a different whole talent tree they'll be able to go down, and it's also going to get the ability to like swap within the archetype system. So like Venomous and Silo will be able to like swap some perks and abilities or something like that. And then +1 echo slot when a Wayfinder weapon gets to awakening level 5. For characters, it will always be a rush type, so we'll have 2 rush type on our character. And for weapons, it will depend on the weapon. It won't be the same for each weapon. So your stones that say coming soon, they're just going to be automatically converted into regular awakening stones. And then those won't actually be in your inventory. They'll just actually be like when you go to the thing, it'll let you know you can awaken them or not. So it says Senja Revamp for player updates. We have the Showboat passive, which is reduced damage window now starts from the beginning of showboating. Abilities pummel and gain favor and persist through the end if the ability is fully charged. When hit while showboating, you gain extra crowd favor meter and gain a stacking hill over time effect. Showboating now reduces incoming impact by 25%. And then pummel, the ability power scaling significantly increasing with charge duration. 10% is immediately tap use. 15% is a partially charged, and 25% is fully charged. For gain favor, the player can now move while using gain favor at reduced movement speed. Taunt and buff range has also been increased. Her old alt has been removed and been replaced with a new one, Thunderous Glory alt. A new alt for Senja, Thunderous Glory deals damage to nearby enemies and buffs nearby allies with increased weapons and ability power for 20 seconds. While Thunderous Glory is active, Senja's weapon attacks cause chain lightning, dealing hybrid weapon power and ability power damage to her target and up to 5 chained enemies. New weapons. So there's going to be 5 new weapons, and I'm going to go ahead and run over there right now. There's some things I want to show you here too with the UI. Like if I click this, you can see I have Silo up here on the screen. It's kind of new. You can see this whole menu thing is new over here as well. The shop and reward tower are colored. There's new dyes, which we'll get into a little bit later. You see they've changed quite a bit here with some of the systems, which I believe they talk about later. And if they don't, I'll touch on it. So here we are at Arsenal, our weapon vendor. And these are going to be your 5 new weapons here. And you see this layout is also different here where we have each of the weapon types is in its own category with the weapons spread out there. So they're easier than just scrolling down a mess of stuff. So our first weapon is going to be a sword and shield, the Bastion. It says the names of the celestial architects are woven into the steel, and the champion with faith can still call on their light. It has the healing ability, or weapon ability Healing Pulse, which heals the Wayfinder and nearby allies. Power increases for each latent power pip consumed. And another cool thing is you have this video here so you can at least see what it looks like. Next we have the Executioner side. We have Blood Song, which is a scythe. All those who hear the Blood Song are called to quench its thirst. To deny the Sanguine Song is to be consumed in turn. And its weapon ability is the Wheel of Pain. Throws the scythe out in front of the Wayfinder, spinning in place as long as the button is held. Momentum is drained as the scythe is spinning. Wheel of Pain also heals the Wayfinder as it deals damage. Upon release, a wide sweep attack that deals damage. Now hold on, I want to show you what you need. If you click in here, you can see what all you need to craft this stuff. Like it looks just like the Wayfinder screen. And to get the Bastion essence, you have to go to Beastmaster. While to get the essence for Bloodsong, you'll need to go to Riven to get its essence. Next, we also have another executioner weapon is the Wind Mother's Fang. Nalasa, the Wind Mother, was the first queen of the Golden Eyrie and one of the deadliest raiders. Legends say that when she was near death, she transformed into a dragon and still dwells at the top of the first peak. Her Fang is infamous both for its brutal history on the battlefield and its bloody passage from one Eyrie champion to another. And then it has the weapon ability Transcendence, which executes a swift 3 to 5 hit combo determined by the amount of momentum consumed, inflicting substantial damage, simultaneously temporarily allowing the Wayfinder to exceed the heat of battle multiple cap of up to 300%. So you know the heavier weapons don't go that high. 300% is normally dagger damage. So you're doing a lot of damage. That if you're constantly hitting enemies. And you can get its weapon essence from the Argent Hand. Next on the marksman category, we have the Void Binder. It says scarcely did the Imperial Spellforge call on the expertise of an arcane lord, but in fleeting alliance held between the Avar throne and the Dominion, House Turrican instructed the spellsmiths how to bind life itself with shadow. Its weapon ability is called Abyssal Anchor. Consumes one locked and loaded charge to fire off a powerful soul spear that pierces through enemies and attaches a faint shadow tether to all enemies hit. So sequence shots will damage all tethered enemies, striking a single target with additional abyssal anchors and will deal bonus damage. And this is a burst rifle similar to Nightshade with burst damage. You can see him firing it up there in the top right. Its weapon essence is gotten from Dread Legion. Unfortunately, yes, we have to go fight Dread Legion. And then we have the Twin Striker, which is the Umbros. The Vault of Ascension held many gifts bestowed upon the kingdom denizens. Though its creators fell, the blades of Umbros empowered the greatest champion of the kingdom, until of course the great empire crumbled to ash. And you perform a flurry of slashes around the Wayfinder in all directions with thousands cuts. Its weapon ability, and it comes from the Grand Deceiver. Now what's interesting is if you look at Umbros, it has the same moving clock ball eyes that Epitaph has. So I wonder if it was also made by the Mother of Shadows. It does say something about the Kingdom of Ash. So that's pretty interesting, I think. Now, I want to go over here real quick to showcase. They're going to talk about later, but I do want to show this here, the Vengeance sale menu. Right now, you can't go to the different types of things. You can just sort by name, rarity, and value, but you can actually see what is on the things now, the accessories. So if you have accessories equipped, you can see what echoes you have equipped to it. And if you're doing something that has multiples, you can just click on that, like these optic vortex, and you'll be able to sell multiple of them. Let's see, run over here real quick because I want to show you guys this as well. Woo, rubber band. The rubber band, man. So here is the trade helper coins. You can see now there's a lot more things in here with the trade helper coins. They have style, housing, and resources. You get an emote for it. This looks cool. It's cool. Oh, it's a gloom dagger. If that was a two-handed sword, that would have been super sweet. But then we have some housing stuff and your resources. If you notice up the here, you'll see there's trickster coins here for 6, and there's archaic bones for 6, and you can only buy 20 of them. It looks like there's only 20 in stock. Of course, this is per whoever clicks on it. There's only one epitaph, essence, and all that stuff in stock, but you will be able to buy some of the stuff you need here also, which is good. And they say the shop is going to rotate out like every couple of months or so. So you'll see some new idle animations there. You might have seen Silo juggle some balls or something here while I was standing around. Let's go ahead and move on. We talked about the weapons. All right, so the weapon balance changes is where everything in the game actually ends up changing. Like this really changes a lot of how the game works, its playstyle and all of that stuff. Makes the game a little bit harder, and it's going to have you redoing your echoes because they won't work the same way. So we have weapon balance changing. All weapon abilities now scale half with ability power and half with weapon power. Scythe's animation speed increased by 15% for light attack combo, heavy attack combo, and crossover combo. Damage per hit reduced by 5% for above combos. Overall DPS should be 10% higher. For the sword and shield, sword attacks animation speed is 10% faster. Shield attacks now deal 10% more damage and break. Weapon legacy ability phalanx buffs range has been increased from 10 meters to 15 meters. Now for the marksman category, there are a lot of different subclasses and a lot of guns, and I'm going to be honest with you, I did read these before and they really hurt for us gun lovers in this game. So let's go ahead and go over them. Deep breath is going to sting a lot. Marksman, active reload. The gun jam effect no longer occurs when failing the active reload minigame. Instead, the reload sequence will play out naturally, filling the clip at the end of the timer. Each marksman subclass now has a unique perfect reload buff. Rifles get plus 35 rate of fire for 4 seconds. Shotguns get plus 50% break power for 4 seconds. Burst rifles get plus 50% crit power for 5 seconds. And rune cannons get plus 50% weapon power for 5 seconds. The duration of each perfect reload buff now scales accordingly to the number of shots fired from the previous clip. So if you only shot half of the clip and you try to reload it, then you only get half of the time that you'll have the effect. They're like no cheating here, no quick reloads to keep your power up. You get what you use is what you get, which I think makes sense, but it still sucks. Eagle Eye Meter. Now, this is one I didn't really like. The Eagle Eye target now only spawn once the Eagle Eye meter has reached 100%. Now, I was able to try this out the other time. It does charge up that meter, which actually seems a lot longer than before, but it charges the meter once it's 100%. And if you don't hit the target that has the mark on it, and you hit another target, it just pulls up the eagle eye mark again, and it has a sound effect that goes along with it that sounds like an eagle, really easy to see. So even if you don't hit the eagle eye on the first target that you filled the thing with, it'll still transfer that eagle eye over and it will remain full until you hit the eagle eye target mark. So the eagle eye meter gain has been normalized across marksman subclasses. All subclasses should now reach 100% eagle eye meter after 15 seconds of continuous fire. Buffs which scale fire rate, including the Rifle Perfect Reload buff, will also increase Eagle Eye buildup rate. Rifles now penetrate 25% of enemy armor, down from 50%. Rifle attacks can pierce one target, damaging the target behind it, which is unchanged. Health damage per shot increased by 30%, and break damage per shot increased by 25%. The rate of fire reduced by 15%, and the clip size has increased to 9 from 7. The optimal range has been reduced, though, from 18 meters to 15 meters, and the maximum range has been reduced from 36 meters to 30 meters. The Ransom Scatter Shot now counts as a single hit pit per target. See shotgun attack. Tool break damage increased by 200% total break damage and no longer pierces targets. For shotguns no longer penetrate enemy armor. They no longer pierce attacks, and shotgun blasts now count as single combined hit per target, instead of each pellet counting as a separate hit. Damage to each target scales with the number of pellets that hit. So if you're up close, you're going to get more damage pretty much than if you try to shoot far away, because the pellets will scatter farther. This significantly reduces the rate of some on-hit effects, such as venom effect. Each shotgun blast now fires 12 pellets instead of 6. Total health damage reduced by 10%. Total break damage increased by 100%. The rate of fire has been increased by 25%, and the clip size has been reduced from 6 to 4. The optimal range reduced from 12 meters to 7 meters, and the maximum range has been reduced from 28 meters to 21 meters. So you got to get really up on them for the optimal range of the shotgun, as it should be. The shotgun. Burst rifles now penetrate 25% of enemy armor, down from 50%. Burst rifle attacks no longer pierce targets. Break damage is reduced by 20%, and bursts are now 20% tighter, which means there's less time between shots inside a burst. This causes burst rifles' overall rate of fire to increase slightly by 7%. The clip size has increased from 12 to 18. The optimal range has been reduced from 18 meters to 11 meters, and the maximum range has been reduced from 36 meters to 30 meters. And they really want people with guns to be really close into the mix of battle a little bit more than they were, and you're going to see this too with the next gun. We go over the rune cannon. For Nightshade, Wyvern's Fury, the clip size has been increased from 15 to 24. On the rune cannon side, rune cannons now ignore 50% of enemy armor, down from 100%. Rune cannon attacks can pierce up to 7 targets for a maximum of 8 targets per shot. They fixed a bug that was skewing the angle of rune cannon's hit area, making it difficult to hit flying enemies and eagle eye target. The break damage reduced by 67%, and clip size has been reduced from 5 to 4. Optimal range reduced from 25 meters to 20 meters, and the maximum range has been reduced from 45 meters to 30 meters. As you can see there, every rifle has a 30-meter maximum range, which is interesting because I thought the rune cannon was supposed to be like the sniper rifle, and so was the long shot, but apparently they said no, we're not doing that. All right, let's go over some Wayfinder changes. We have this first, Shadow Step, total ratio 2.5 times ability power, and 3.5 times has been going up to 3.5 times the ability power. Umbral Aura is now 9 times ability power for all hits. Vengeful Shade is now 2 times ability power. Slam ratio is now 3 times ability power. For Windgrave, Righteous Strike now works off of 2.5 times ability power. Radiant Pulse is 1.7, and Light Pulse is now 0.8. For Silo, Firebomb initial damage is 1.0 for ability power, and oil bomb explosion initial damage is 1.5 per ability power. Defense, physical defense, and magical resistance damage reduction curves have been increased. Damage reduction when defense stats are equal to enemy attack increased 15% to 80%, and maximum damage reduction when defense stat is 4 times enemy attack stat increased 40% to 55%. Note, in a future update, we plan to change how this stat is calculated to normalize damage reduction values across enemy class. This change was too large to make it into this patch, but we will be added soon once adequate testing can be done. And they did have a video in Discord that they went over all of this on, and I think I'll have that maybe as a short or something so you guys can see. It's kind of lengthy, so it might just be another video on the side that I'll just repost here so you guys can see it. But they're going to be going over the defense things because they don't like what happened with defense and how it's working right now. They say health is still better, having more health than defense, and they're seeing players go over the defensive cap, which is kind of like wasting those points. But it would be helpful if they told us what the defense cap was. I guess we'll just have to be able to do some testing to see when defense stops really mattering, and I'm sure some people in the community has already done that yet, so I'll see what they say and relay that to you guys, because I know some of you don't even bother with Discord and stuff like that, so I can find out the answer to what the defense cap is. I'll make sure I share that. But people are wasting points going over defense cap, and they're saying that health is still the more way to go right now. Defense at max will do like 70% less damage versus the 50% damage reduction that it normally does. So when you max it all the way up and you get to cap, it's 70% reduction, but it still doesn't outweigh health. It just kind of makes you take like 2 or 3 hits versus 1 hit and dying. But the stuff hits hard, I'm telling you. So they fixed an issue where the following skills had no impact. Kairos, Rake, didn't really do anything when it's supposed to. And then Venomous Transfusion and Vampiric Blast and Deep Breath didn't really do anything like it's supposed to. Then it says last but not least, they've updated some Wayfinder visuals. Silo has a new ultimate, and they updated the Fire Bomb and updated the Oil Bomb. We can go take a look at those real quick. Oh, here's a new video going down into Lower Skylight. I'm going into Highlands to show you this stuff, but this is kind of cool. I thought this was what they should have from the beginning, and I'm glad it's in here now because this changes like everything, really. It's great. I also want to show here too that some of these guys have changed. Remember, these are all the doofy looking dudes with the pompadour type hairstyle, the wavy hair. Now they have these interesting outfits going on here. So they've replaced some of the models. They have the models in place that they want to have there. You can see a lot of the waters are now frozen over, and there's actually new enemies out here. Like one of these ice dudes wasn't out here before. I'm out here by the beach. You guys hear that? Here's the Fire Bomb, Oil Bomb. While I'm out here trying to show you guys the thing, I noticed you can go across this bridge area now because the water is frozen, and there's like a whole new area over here to explore. So if you guys want to come and explore this area. And then here's the new look for the fireworks. Personally, I like the other one a little bit better. You can actually see what's hitting him, but it's cool. You saw his energy go down when it hits. It still does damage, but I thought the other one looked like he had more of a direct attack, which I thought looked better. I wonder why these guys are standing over here looking at that rock. This is an exploration video, so let's go on back with the patch notes. All right, for Nis, we had updated shade transitions. Her ultimate has been polished. And then we have signature daggers doing shadow steps and reduced opacity on umbral aura buff. So here's her. Oh, that looks kind of cool. A little spin, you can see her daggers there a bit better. I don't know if you noticed these weapons are white. We'll get to that in a minute. Next is Venomous. So Venomous has an updated non-combat double jump. I guess he jumps higher now. And then her new transfusion projectile. So we gotta find somebody to shoot bullets at her face. Here. Oh yeah, they're kind of smoky. Oh yeah, I forgot I had Pyre's Echo in there. For enemy updates, they did AI system improvements. They refactored awareness and threat systems to create more responsive AI, added team sense to help AI communicate perception events to encounter groups, and added proximity sense so AI can detect players when they get very close to them from behind. They also added a component to our threat model that helps spread pressure out more evenly among team members and updated how distance is modeled in our threat system to better match the max range for player weapons. AI will be better spread out to avoid each other in combat. They reworked core AI navigation implementation for smoother movement and increased maximum walk and run move speeds of most melee character classes. For AI damage, they reviewed all damage effects in the game to ensure that AI had a healthy mixture of physical and magical damage abilities, so players got value from both defensive stats equally, and they audited damage types for every AI attack, adjusted a few attacks from physical damage to magical damage, thus changing which defensive stat is used. They fixed issues where some damage over time or dot or area of effect or AoE abilities were doing too much damage, and they fixed issues where dot and AoE abilities were blockable. Hold up. Are you telling me now that I can't block everything with my daggers? I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. For enemy adjustments, they added lock-on indicators for all hunt bosses. Many leaping or gap-closing attacks had their cooldowns or targeted adjusting, and that was for all of the enemy stuff. So you see like when the blobs jump on you. For world update, they fixed priority tag tiles unnecessary affecting dungeon tile budget, and they globally adjusted event budgets to allow for all events to spawn, added jump links to most tiles to improve AI movement, and general navigation cleanup and improvements, remove one content level up when completing any choke point or stronghold. So when we go into like the Reaver Woods or whatever, and you're like level 30 and you're trying to get level 30 accessories, and it like levels you up to like level 31, and you're like, hold up, remove that so it doesn't get harder when you beat a chokehold. Especially what's crazy at the repository, because at the repository, the first like door you go through will sometimes be a trap event, one of those events. And you're like, I just got here and you're already making it harder. They removed all objective UI Gloom Stronghold events. The new encounters added for ambushes across all biomes. Now, if you watch the Wayfinder Training Force video on this, he actually showcased that a little bit, where they have different types of enemies inside the Gloom ambush areas. It's kind of cool. So you're not just going to be fighting the same Gloom enemies all the time, which does actually get a bit stale. But because those are like my least favorite events, because like, oh, I got to fight these flying guys again. I gotta fight, so they at least adjusted those to make it a little bit more variety, more challenging, and it gives you opportunity to get more echoes from different types of enemies, which is actually pretty cool. In Aurelian, there should now only be one combat choke point in the repository of knowledge. I was just talking about that. There's like when we first go through the gate, and then there's like another one. I feel like I had 3 at one point, but I don't even remember. They added new memory fragment pickups to orbital, facsimile, decoder, and clinical trial. Arkstone can now be picked up by all players in the dungeon. They reduced the max active count for Arkstone to 1, down from 2, and they reduced the max active count for grid puzzles to 2, down from 3, and they added a new tracer variant featuring a fiery foe in the Codex halls. Oh, nice. They updated the encounters for the hidden activation of the facsimile event, and they added additional loot options to the hidden activation of the facsimile event. Each player can individually acquire bonus loot if they complete the hidden activation of the facsimile event via exchanging extra Arkstones and data fragments. A Matter of Time event now only requires 3 hourglasses, down from 4, and they also increased the timer to 10 minutes, up from 5. Any player can place any hourglass after it has been picked up. Wayfinders can now enter the clinical trial after it has begun, and cleaned up numerous toe catches across all tiles. Now, the clinical trial is that one where it's like the giant cube and all the enemies start fighting at you. And if you're not inside the cube, you kind of get locked out and just kind of have to watch. So now if it starts, you can go inside of it. And toe catchings is like if you're trying to jump and it's like, my toe got stuck. In the deep, which is where Bloodworks, the Pit, and Baldoon, they now have distinctive art styles. I know one of the things people complained about was that it was just the same dungeon with a different tile set. I mean, just maybe rearranged, maybe I'm going through it backwards. So at least now they look different, which it should be, because Baldoon is supposed to be like way different from the Bloodworks. I can understand the Pit and Bloodworks being connected, being in the same area, but Baldoon was not supposed to be like really in the same area. And then they added new mine tiles, added a Chain Gang variant to the Pit and the Bloodworks. Chain Gang NPCs are now randomized. And then Dread Legion, they added a 2-second delay to the traversal platforms through the hunt, and improved guidance between major platforms. And they tuned the range of Gloom Claps to not be so punishing on the second traversal sequence. So now you have more time to jump across those disappearing platforms, and especially during that last part where, people just take the shortcut. They're like, look, we'll make it so it's not so hard. In Reaver Woods, they reduced the max number of tiles in Reaver Woods dungeons, so it's not so huge. The Reaver Woods boundary tiles updated to look impassable and added dense fog. And they added new memory fragment pickups to the Gloom strongholds, adjusted encounters in the Hollow Heart to wait hollow creature spawns over Reaver creatures because of the Hollow Heart. So now if you're looking for like hollow ones, those hollow one echoes, which are kind of hard to find, they should be easier to find because there should be more hollow creatures in the Hollow Heart. And then the Crown of Decay is re-enabled. Enemies should now properly engage the Wayfinder with the Crown. The Crown of Decay buff now applies to Wayfinder wearing it and others in proximity. Enlightening Treasure has been added to the Shrouded Woods and Bone Orchard. This chest will no longer lock Wayfinders out after 3 incorrect torches have been lit. The runes will now change color to indicate the corresponding torch has been lit. Ley lines now require 2 pillars to activate, down from 3. And the Fighting Pit and the Hollow Heart will no longer indefinitely spawn additional enemies during the final wave. It did that. Audio updates for ley lines, shrine, snare, and sacrifice events. And then for Kolar the Beastmaster, all summoned beasts have slightly increased health and resilience. They added some invulnerability when Kolar summons his beast, and Kolar's melee attack damage was increased slightly. Kolar's leap damage and range was increased slightly, and when Kolar commands his bear to stomp, this ability will happen in sequence properly now instead of starting immediately. They fixed the issue where his bear stomp could only hit and slow one target. So what's interesting about this is that people were using Beastmaster to like level quickly, and they were like spamming him, and they were like getting him down in like 12 seconds, 10 seconds. And I almost feel like that race they did was like a test to see like, okay, we need to fix that. Like we're watching this race because we need to know what is too easy, what is easier than we need it to be done. People are clearing the junk too hard. We at least want some challenge, and they did that junk. So I haven't fought Beastmaster yet, and I haven't seen anybody do him yet. I don't know if he's any easier, but it sounds like, from my understanding, is that the game has become a lot more difficult than it once was. So with Wormwood, they added a small heal to Wormwood when a seed hatches on hallowed ground. What? I was trying to do Wormwood because I accidentally spent my thing, so I just had to get one more for Nightshade to do its Awakened event. So I was trying to go to Wormwood so I can get another Nightshade, and he was kicking my butt, man. Before I was like, oh, I'll just do Wormwood, I got him. But I didn't realize he was getting healed with those seeds. If you don't know, those green balls on the ground are seeds, and they hatch when there's like grass or whatever underneath them. So you want to knock those off. That's the mechanic is knocking those seeds off of the grass. I don't know why they added that hill, man. Reaver King improved mounting behavior, tuned melee attacks to be a bit more aggressive and engaging, and it improved Marl's charge attack. Melee attacks to be a bit more aggressive. Those dudes jump from across the whole map. What are you talking about, a bit more aggressive? So now we have people that forever aim at you that can't miss. Archers, like no matter what you're doing, as soon as they point at you, you're hit. And now you got people jumping across the map more aggressively at you. All right, for Highlands, they added additional loot to the Gloom Terror Boss Islands. The Night Maws reworked new and updated AI with a focus on phases. Burrow Burst reworked to be based on HP percentage. Acid Spray now leaves a Gloom AoE behind. Acid Spits now leaves a Gloom AoE behind on impact. There's new abilities. Burrow Burst, Night Maws will perform a set of burrows that release a burst of gloom energy. And Scream summons additional worms to fight. There's a Sea of Worms, summon an army of worms that will Burrow Burst around Wayfinder. So they really are preventing this from being as soloable as possible. It seems like they really want people to play together, and they're trying to give people reasons to play with other players. Talon of Pyre leveled out the arena to provide a more consistent combat experience. Retimed Meteor, Vortex, and Final Phase AoEs to line up significantly better with the AoE indicator. And I hope they change the color. I'm just preemptively asking this because it's really hard to see some of those ground effects when he's getting ready to do attacks. So I'm hoping that they actually change that indicator so we can see it a lot better. Fixed an issue where damage volumes would linger after some abilities. Reduced damage during some final phase attacks. Talon of Pyre now enters its final phase at 10% remaining health instead of 15%. Talon of Pyre's final phase lasts 40 seconds instead of 25 seconds. It almost seems like it would be easier to do that to solo now, but with the changes to a lot of the damage and stuff, I don't know. Defeating Talon of Pyre now spawns a chest that contains all loot. That's cool. The chest will remain in the arena for 120 seconds before disappearing. So does that mean that if you don't fight Talon of Pyre, that you can go and get the chest if you just happen to come in at the end? I think that's kind of cool. Like if you just happen to run there and you miss it and it just spawns a chest, you'll be able to pick it up. Progression and loot updates. Event resources now drop for more events in each biome. Example, Halcyon orbs can now be found from a large number of events in Aurelian. Quest XP and rewards update. Previously completed quests will grant the difference in rewards as appropriate one-time rewards. Added Battle Pass XP rewards to some side quests that were missing it. Previously completed quests will grant the difference in rewards as appropriate one-time rewards. Boss loot reworked to improve the item mix and increase the drop rate for epic accessories. Nice. So now people should be able to find epic accessories more from the bosses. Vestige and essence drop rates now scale with difficulty spear. Trickster chest loot improvements. Large trickster chest guarantees a trickster coin. One item from accessory Echo Gloom trophy. So you get 2 items now from a large trickster chest. The small trickster chest, 1 item from gold, spectra, or trickster keys. And then there's trickster bar loot improvements. Added a pity to loot tier. Worked all tiers to grant escalating rewards. There are now 2 outcomes that guarantee trickster coins. The trickster real loot improvements wins now guarantee the following: trickster coin, an item from accessory Echo trophy or gloomstones, an item from gold, spectra, or keys. Highland chest spawns rates slightly increased. Highland's accessories should no longer be dropping at level 1. That just like the accessories we get from Pyre dropped at level 1. Spectra Revamp. Higher tiers of Spectra are now found when using 2+ imbuements rather than being based on the level of the dungeon, which is good because if you're looking for a specific thing, you don't have to try to go to like a dungeon you don't like Hollow Heart Frost or whatever it's called, Heart Frost Hollow. Quantity scale with the Sphere of the Lost Zone, so you'll get more. It seems like if you're going into a higher level sphere, you'll get more Spectra, and they reworked all recipes to align with the new Spectra scheme. They fixed an issue causing Marrow to not always drop loot. And for the Reaver King Echo, they did some improvements. They increased the damage from 25% to 350%, and the cooldown reduction to 15 seconds. Marrow Echo, they increased crit power to 20%. For the Lord of Blades Echo, they increased damage to 350% and increased cooldown to 12 seconds. The Riven Echo now works against all enemies, not just Gloom enemies, which makes the Riven Echo a really good Echo. When it was just Gloom Echoes, it was not that good because you rarely came across Gloom enemies except for in specific conditions, like when you're fighting Riven or maybe at the end of dungeons. Argent Hand Echo bomb damage increased 200% to 300%. Consumables are now fully consumed when used. Oh no. Consumables will no longer be refilled by traveling or signal fires. Wayfinders can now bring much more than 3 consumables with them into a lost zone. Consumable recipe costs have been reduced. So we have to, like, if we have the Phoenix one, now we actually, if we use it, that's it. So you're actually gonna have to craft more than these, even though they took some of mine away. Like I had more of these. I didn't just have one of each. A couple of these I had actually like 3. So go to Phoenix Oil. If you use it, that's it. You gotta craft another one, but at least you'll be able to carry 3 with you, which is all right, I guess. But dang, that's tough. I miss it already. Mutator updates. Mutators will no longer target players on player start locations or checkpoint respawns. So that's like if we were like spawning in and we were dropping chaos bombs. As soon as you spawned in, we had like chaos solar flare all over the place. You're like, come on. Players in these areas are no longer targeted by things like bombs. Damage effects will still damage players, but ground effects will not damage players in these areas. Trickster knockbacks won't affect players in these regions. For hunt resets, mutators will now clean up after hunt's expeditions end. Mutator objects will despawn and periodic events will stop. So like what happens is, if you're doing for solar, for example, then you'll just have the solar bombs all over the place when it's time to go back in. But now that stops. For Gloom Shroud holdout duration decreased by 1/3, and the Gloom Collapse recharge rate of Cleanse Station increased by 100%. So you'll recharge your thing faster. For the Gloom Collapse, the Radiant Torch should no longer duplicate. Torch no longer floats in the air if dropped while airborne. Torch won't get stuck on elevators. Dodging won't clear gloom erosion. Torch will now automatically respawn at the most recent checkpoint if it falls out of play or on the center tile during the first hunt. For Trickster, they fixed fake loot spawn. They updated bombs to match radiuses with art better. They updated bombs to ragdoll after exploding, and they updated to stop spawning bombs after an instance is completed. Bombs no longer have collision. Bombs that have already spawned but have not exploded will deactivate and drop to the ground. We worked all bombs, spawned bombs, chest bombs, and fake loot bombs to only explode for a single frame. Previously, the damage region would persist for a second. For fire bombs, they gained all updates from Trickster Mutator. Fire pools now have a max limit and will despawn the oldest one when a new one is created. Fire spawn, ground explosion radius will now match visuals. So now we just won't have a sea of lava. If there's too many, you'll start seeing the older ones disappear, which I guess is normally how it should be in games. I like the more persistent feel of it, but this is understandable. For a golden cache, they fixed a lot of interaction issues. This should only be destroyed by explosion from a gloom-touched enemy. For greed, gold piles should replicate correctly now. Gold piles should no longer poof out of existence and should play a quick sinking animation when gathered. Gold mites no longer spawn from every pile. Gold mites no longer spawn one at a time, but now in swarms. For toxic, they added mushroom masher buff. If a mushroom is killed by a melee ability, it will grant the killing player a temporary attack power buff. That's good because melee really has the most trouble with those. They updated puddles to not tick immediately upon entering the puddle, giving melee players a window to get in and attack before being hit, and updated puddles so players can jump over them, through them. There's also been some UI UX improvements. Characters and weapons can now be awakened at the summoning menus using crafting resources or awakening stones. XP cache items can now be consumed from the upgrades category in the player inventory. We have upgrade cache right here. Let's go to our inventory so you guys can see that real quick. So this is the new inventory loadout here. You can still do all the sorting, but now you kind of see it's easier to see what everything is really, not bigger. So our key items, our upgrade items, we have our resonance caches here. You see that a large resonance cache will give us 5,625 value, and a medium will give us 750. And then we can see that it's not going to do anything because we have max, but you can use more than one if you could do anything with it, but it's max, so I can't increase the quantity at all. And then coming soon, you know, the mount and all that good stuff. Item details for accessories now show echo slot and slot type icons. I showed you that earlier. Player can cycle to view equipped echoes and accessory slots when looking at the vendor. Quest menu has navigable reward grid that shows item details on focus. Quest menu displays quantity of items and gained XP. Quest menu displays number of tracked quests. Vendor item grid now displays stock limits and out of stock feedback. The event item requester menu now has few interrupting steps for selecting and confirming the item to give. Additional stats increased are displayed in HUD when character or weapon levels up. Imbuement selector displays a preview of resulting mutator when selecting and creating combinations. I thought I did that already. Let's take a look real quick. Okay, I'm here. I see where it does it at now. See over here to the right, it shows what it does. We add corpse bloom, chaos spores. Before, I just kind of waited until you selected it and put it here, but now it actually shows what it does when you put them on here. That's what it means. I thought it showed like, at first I thought it was gonna show like a video preview, which would have been pretty cool. Maybe that's something you can do in the future. Have it to where it's like a video preview of what it looks like. Rune shop now displays character and weapon stats and ability details. The Rune Silver shop. Player can toggle an expanded view of echo details while in the echo menu for information that is truncated. I haven't looked at the echo menu yet. So we have this rush echo here. We can see that we're actually showing the difference between the echoes, what their stars are and stuff. A lot more information on the screen, what its power level is. Don't think I see anything that's truncated though, so I'm not sure. Toggle echo details. So yeah, here we go. You can actually toggle the echo details a bit more. I kind of like the way it looks overall, but I still wish there was probably an easier way to do this. I'll have to play around with it and see if there's anything I would change. Reward tower now has a floor selection list. Yes, I hate it. I hate it scrolling all the way to the top here. This is easier. Instead of having to scroll all the way to the top, it's going to be the floor 5. So much better, so much better. Especially if you're on PlayStation. PC players can select between quitting to main menu and quitting to desktop from pause menu. World map access button now more prominent in map screen. So we can take a look at that. Up there in the top right, world map. Pause menu, visual revamp with updated buttons and meter displays for reward tower. We saw that. Vendor items now display in a block grid. Player inventory now displays in a block grid. Echo fusion rank icon updated to not confuse with awakening stars. Visual update to character stat display. Visual update to quest start and complete summary menu. XP toast appear in the HUD at key thresholds to display character and weapon XP progression. So if you look down here at the bottom left of the screen, of the game screen, you can see where it shows like a gold bar underneath Silo's picture and weapon, and those are my little XP bars that they have here. Before, that wasn't there, so that's kind of new. Also, the weapon that you have selected. They did talk about being able to possibly have 2 weapons, so that would be a good way to switch in between that. And I can picture the other one kind of like in the shadow above, but like right behind it, and it just does like a rotation swap thing. In my mind, that's what I see anyways. For Echo inventory, they updated the list entry layout, condensed names, level, and rank visuals to make more room for power rating value and larger icons. They added power level to the info box at the base of menu. You can now sort by power rating, rarity, name, capacity, and recent. Oh, and all this cool stuff. XP caches are now usable. XP from creatures, bosses, and expedition completion bonuses have been reduced by 30%. Dev note, when we buffed XP by 300%, we had said we intend to revisit those values. Initially, Wayfinder was planned to release with XP caches being functional, but that didn't happen. So XP felt very scarce for players. So we increased XP values massively to remedy that. With XP caches online, we're making an adjustment. Weapons are now dyeable, and they've added additional dye slots for Wayfinder. So I didn't show you that. I did mention that I did dye the guns for not the guns, but the Venom daggers. And you kind of saw that with Silos, or Nis and Venomous. They were white, but let's go ahead and customize style here. So we have these 2 here, custom and custom. Now I hope they add some names to them because they actually do things. Normally for first custom, handles hair. So now he's really Santa Claus right now. Just dyed his hair white. We dyed it different colors. Now he has a ginger. Now he has the purple beard. And he has a black beard. This is cool. Now he's like the Dark Knight or whatever. So anyway, we have that, and we also have, that's that dye. I forgot to show you the second one. There's also something else that dyes. Sometimes it's like a little small thing. You have to really like pay attention and notice, but on Windgrave, it's just like his hair. What does the second custom do? I see. Okay, I see. That's hot. As Will Smith said, that's hot. You can actually make him all black or mix it up a little bit. That's cool. I like it. Then we also have the weapon dye, and we have primary and secondary, and these handles different things. So if I click white here, you see it turn the whole rose white, but then you see the effects are still okay, and the brass around is brass. So let's go to primary, and you see that changes the color of the brass. So that's kind of cool. I wonder if I can make these. Oh ho, yes, sweet. All right, I like it a lot. Wolf has new items available for helper coins. We saw that. An improved housing item placement system for smoother decoration. I haven't tried that out yet. And combat music is no longer tied to enemy threat level. It will only start in specific combat scenarios like events, hunts, and an anchor fights. Music will also no longer stop and start doing hunts. New impact sounds have been added for all weapon classes. Rifles also have new hit indicator sounds, and crits now have sounds associated with them. Cool, I haven't really paid attention to that. Signal fires are now approachable from both sides. Signal fires now replenish Flask. Flask refill stations have been removed from Highlands and Skylight. Players returning from a hunt or expedition will now spawn much closer to the Gloom Gate. And I think these are all the fixes, which we'll do in another video. So what do you guys think of all these changes now? That was a lot. I did want to showcase some of those things to you as well, but I felt like it was a lot. It doesn't seem like the weapon dice carry over. We can double test that real quick and see if I switch to another character, if it changed the weapon for Nis and stuff. So she still has her white daggers, and if I change weapon, does it stay white on a different weapon? No. So it just affects the weapon that you have equipped at the time when you go into weapon dies. Oh, this one has an emissive change. Yeah, so each weapon is going to be a little bit different on how it reacts, I guess. So let's put it back on. If I put on Rose and Thorn, is it black? Yeah, so the weapon itself is what gets dyed. It doesn't affect the other weapons around it. So that is pretty cool. I think there's a lot of cool things in here. Like I said, we got to rearrange a lot of your echoes and stuff, but at least some of the echoes should be easier to get from bosses and such. But the game has a lot of different playstyle going on now with how these abilities and weapons work. Daggers might be the best, and sword and shield at the moment. Either way, they want you to move away from the ranged meta that was going on and the weapon power meta that was happening. Real quick, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch Friday. You guys want to come out this weekend? We'll be playing Wayfinder and maybe Skull and Bones or something, we'll see. And I'll see you guys in this next video, which is a lot longer than this one, I'm sure, with all of these updates and stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more information on Wayfinder and in other games, because we're going to start adding new games to here as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace.